Greetings, everyone. Anthony Marsh on Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film with a new episode of the Terra Venture podcast presented by my Morphin Megaverse Power Rangers Facebook group. You know, here's the thing. For a long time, I've been a fan of Power Rangers. I would never really guess that any, big name actors were almost... big name actors that we know now was going to be a Power Ranger at one point in their career or so. And every single actor that had auditioned for certain Ranger roles, but it's always commonplace with a lot of the female Rangers that were once going to be played by would-be big name actors, played by would-be big name actors. Like, of course, if, back in 2014, I did do a discussion video ages ago about Erin Sims, Canadian actress Erin Sims, almost going to be Maya the Yellow Lost Galaxy Ranger in Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. Go check that video out. It's probably still up on my channel despite given the changing in terms of about legacy videos being considered private now. But you can try and see if that video is still on the channel because I haven't looked back on that in so long. But now, what got to my attention following the recording process of this video when discussing something Lightspeed Rescue related, if not pre-production related. So, a lot of you didn't know that if you go on Amy Adams, yes, the Amy Adams, Giselle from Disney's Enchanted, Lois Lane of the DCEU, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman fame, that Amy Adams was going to be once the pink Lightspeed Rescue Ranger for Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. Now, before I planned this video, I did screen capped a quote from her IMDb page about her turning down the role of the Pink Ranger in Lightspeed Rescue. She initially was going to get that part, but she only turned it down. And here's the quotation. A lot of people kept saying, "You're so dumb," but I wanted to learn about acting and want a job that would help me to do that in a serious way. I wonder all of that time that what would have happened to my career if I'd taken it. So at that time, when Amy Adams auditioned for the Pink Ranger, but she turned it down because they felt that, again, casting directors wouldn't take her seriously. Come to think of it, in an alternate universe, if when Lightspeed Rescue would still play out the same in an alternate universe, but what if Amy Adams took up the role of Dana Mitchell before our well-beloved Allison McInnis? Well, let's face it. Well, even then, Amy's career would still play out the same. She would still go on to do much bigger stuff. Particularly a few movies I've seen her in that is well known to me, like Disney's Enchanted. Of course, the Snyderverse with Man of Steel, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and the Snyder cut and theatrical cuts of Justice League, where she played Lois Lane in those films. And then, of course, that sci-fi movie Arrival with her and MCU alumni, Jeremy Renner, Hawkeye himself. Yeah, Lois Lane from the Snyderverse and Hawkeye from the MCU in the same movie together. Har har. But then there was a few other movies I've seen her in. But, because, Amy Adams is a talented actress. But, it's kind of too late for her to be a Power Ranger. Here's the thing with me and Hollywood actors and how I've always fan cast these actors and actresses to be Power Rangers in my mind. Because, look, nothing against the actors we have in Power Rangers in the real world, in the main show. But if these guys were on Power Rangers, if Saban, Disney, and Saban Brands would pay those actors the damn money, if they wasn't so, especially Saban, if Haim Saban, old man Haim Saban, wasn't so goddamn fucking cheap and shit, these actors would have been a part of this brand. I mean, and would have been big names even after Power Rangers. Because I understand that, when the show started, and even then by Lost Galaxy, Lightspeed Rescue, Time Force, they did start getting people of those that were part of the Screen Actors Guild for a while to be a part of it, but they were just now starting out their careers. But knowing a lot of the majority of a lot of the actors we've had on Power Rangers are usually like non-union people. Given the amount of given the wages that the actors are paid to do these episodes and do their season, and then once their time is up and once after the season is up, when they hang up the morpher and helmet and stuff, then they just do whatever they want with their careers. But here's the thing. For all my years, in the 20 years I've been fantasizing about Hollywood actors that I know that could have been Power Rangers in movie reboots, but now that these actors like Amy Adams are way over the age of 40 and 50 in them now, it's like, it's kind of too late. And like, I kind of wish that actresses like Amy Adams could have been the Pink Ranger in Lightspeed Rescue. If she had took that role, she would still play out the same as what she is as an actress currently. But then I guess, or maybe her career she would have never even be that successful. But she did. She turned out successful in a lot of stuff. She was in 2 different types of Disney movies, of course, Enchanted, and by the time Disney bought out the Muppets franchise, when they did that 2010 reboot movie of the Muppets with her and Jason Segel, Marshall from How I Met Your Mother fame, in the 2010 Muppets movie. And yeah, I even seen the Muppets movie, and she was fine in it. And then, of course, once I heard she was going to play iconic Superman love interest Lois Lane in Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, I almost wonder how her Lois Lane would be like compared to, like, of course, as much as I will always love Margot Kidder as Lois from the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, but Amy Adams was fine as Lois Lane in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. But man, just seeing her mope and depressed about Superman being gone in the Snyder cut of Justice League, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen the Snyder cut. And even how Lois was in the theatrical Joss Whedon crap cut of Justice League from 5 years ago. But, I just think about it because, like, she would have been a great Power Ranger. Or she could have played a Ranger's big sister or something when she was just starting out her career in her late 20s, early 30s in the 2000s. Because, okay, well, when Amy was auditioning for the role of the Pink Ranger, but she turned it down because she should know that how Saban as a company is, and how Saban was so cheap at times, but yet the company makes money, and Power Rangers was Saban's money goat. And the fact that, okay, by this point, Power Rangers was already long past the Mighty Morphin era. We've had now entered the post-Zordon era with Lost Galaxy and Lightspeed Rescue in them at this point. Well, when Lightspeed Rescue was in its pre-production, when they were going into the casting stages of who should play Carter, Dana, Kelsey, and Chad and Joel, and then later when they come up with the character of Ryan, Dana's brother, Captain Mitchell's son, the Titanium Ranger, I did not know Amy Adams was once a runner-up for Dana before Allison McInnis got the role in our show, the main show, in the main universe of Power Rangers. Would it be funny if we had a Power Rangers multiverse sort of film in the Power Rangers, in Hasbro's upcoming Power Rangers Cinematic Universe thing, if we ever did some sort of a multiverse movie where we had random Hollywood actors as certain Power Rangers per season, can you imagine? Well, of course, Amy Adams may be pushing 50 since her birth year 1974 and 2024 being her would be soon to be 50th birthday coming up in 2 years. But you can, of course, with today's Hollywood technology of de-aging actors who are aging like wine or milk in their 40s and 50s and stuff beyond, you can use de-aging technology and make Amy how she looked when she was about to get that part, but she turned it down because of how she felt, how the studio execs over at Saban thought they would not take her seriously, and she was a stupid, dumb, aspiring actress. And I'm surprised that she never really, according to the IMDb thing I screen capped, if you go back to it, it says about how she, on turning down the role of the Pink Ranger in Lightspeed Rescue, with that quotation, if you go back to it. She could, instead of turning it down, she could have tried. She could have took chances auditioning for the Pink Ranger role when those casting sides for the Lightspeed Rescue characters were up. But, of course, with the process of pre-production, with the casting process of who should play this character, and with the auditions and stuff. And sometimes with the casting sides, they will probably, go by what the showrunners originally wanted to conceive the character to be before they would finalize the character to be in the final product, in the final series, in the final version of the series. That's just how that process works. But, of course, it would have been great if, like I said, though, but if we had a Power Rangers multiverse movie, if you go across the entire Power Rangers multiverse, if you go into, like, each season's story in a certain part of the multiverse, and imagine some Rangers being played by different actors instead of the actors we already know, and particularly some of the Lightspeed Rescue cast being replaced by different actors. But, of course, like I said back last time when discussing about Trakina, last video, about if some other actor, like I said about a PRLG movie reboot. But since Lightspeed Rescue, now, okay, look, Amy Adams is almost 50 years old, and basically, she would have been a Dana Mitchell, fully mature as a ranger and a medical doctor in some hospital or something. But also, what kind of version of Dana she would play in a Power Rangers multiverse movie of Lightspeed Rescue. Now think about it. Now this is one of my few rare Lightspeed Rescue videos talking about any of the Rangers and those who was going to be a Ranger, like Amy Adams here. But the Amy Adams, I mean. Even though I have done a video about Vipra and stuff before, even though I haven't done much Lightspeed Rescue rant videos. But, no, in effect, Lightspeed Rescue is an alright Power Ranger season in my book. Although, like I've said before, it was just basically a watered-down Lost Galaxy, but on Earth. But, gotta understand, Lightspeed Rescue was fine. It's a good Power Ranger season. Check it out. And, it's one of, if not, so far, one of the best seasons of Power Rangers, but yet criminally underrated. But, I just think that if Amy Adams had did a much older Dana Mitchell and whoever older actors I want, if I would cast those actors to be in a multiverse of Lightspeed Rescue for a Power Rangers cinematic multiverse universe, or cinematic multiverse. Again, we gotta go by the basics with Dana Mitchell. That her being Captain Mitchell's daughter, who would also be the Pink Ranger, is a paramedic, and then later, you know how she would be later on after her time as a Ranger was initially up. Until she would call up, her and the other Rangers would be called up to help the Time Force Rangers defeat Vipra in the Time for Lightspeed team up with Time Force. But, with the de-aging technology we have, like I said, in today's today's filmmaking, instead of recasting, you can de-age the actress and make her pretend she was the character when she was younger, or have her just still be the age she is now, but just not that young. Okay, she's not in her 20s no more. Like what I'm doing currently right now with my upcoming Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film reboot, where I had fan cast Laura Vandervoort, who is pushing 40. Laura Vandervoort, known for TV shows like Bitten, and of course her playing Supergirl in Smallville, to be my version of Kendricks, the Pink Lost Galaxy Ranger for my thing. But, of course, yeah, Super Vandy herself is turning 40, but I don't care. She's still my ideal version of Kendricks for a more adult Power Rangers Lost Galaxy movie, for people my age and over. So, like I said, for all those 20-year-olds who want to say, oh, you're old. Well, nobody cares about you no more. Yeah, well, you're damn right. No one cares about me no more because I'm old and 30. But Amy Adams, imagine in a Power Rangers multiverse, if Amy Adams did play Dana Mitchell while she's like in her 30s, 40s, somewhat still in active duty as a Power Ranger, still helping people. Because, one of the things I always liked about the Lightspeed Rescue team is how, yeah, they're the first Power Ranger team to be publicly visible by people. And when there is danger with all of the stuff that goes on, like burning buildings or people being injured, and they need to get rushing paramedics and fire trucks to show up, and the Lightspeed Rangers will be there to help them and stuff. That's what I did like about the Lightspeed Rangers. Dana, especially, since she was a paramedic and then later a doctor after studying medical school, and that would probably explain that dumbass In the Limelight episode. Even though she should have never been forced to be a supermodel in order to pay off her medical school expenses and stuff. And once her time of being a Power Ranger is up after defeating Queen Banshira, she did what she did what she wanted, until she would be called up again to help the Time Force Rangers fight Vipra one last time in Time for Lightspeed, and you know the rest. And Dana coming back with Carter in a legendary battle in Super Mega Force. But I don't know what else you would do with Dana if the character is at the age of the actress now in a Power Rangers multiverse movie of various seasons. Because look, I know that most particular Power Ranger fans, now I'm maybe in the minority about this, but I know a lot of majority of Power Ranger fans rather have the character stay the same age as the actors when they play them when they were in their prime. But when really, I think it's best to have the characters grow up and grow older, but they can, I know that when they get older and they still have the power, don't you realize just because, your time of being a Power Ranger is over once your season is up doesn't mean you should give up being a Power Ranger and retire and grow old. I mean, you need to use that power in case any new force of evil comes up. If you unite with multiple teams of Rangers or select a group of Rangers from various teams, like is seen in Dimensions in Danger and Super Ninja Steel, for example. So giving up the power just because you're getting old, and I understand that as we get older, we're not going to be in our prime forever and stuff like that. But when you just think about it in the nip of the bud, and like I tried to tell off those in the comment section about my PRLU Lost Galaxy Fancast finalization I did last year about that, and how some didn't even like the choices for the Galaxy Rangers I had, just because they're like well over the age of my age demographic now. But back last year, I was in my last year of my 20s when I considered those choices. But now I'm not even thinking about considering certain choices for Lightspeed Rescue right now, and like probably go for more relatively well-known actors as of right now, rather than actors that are like pushing 50 or so to be Power Rangers. Yeah, they're like kind of too old to be Rangers and stuff. I mean, but hey, like I said, like, even when you think back to again, when I said last video about Trakina, and what I meant when I mentioned Bitsy Tulik playing Lois Lane in Superman and Lois, she's in her early 40s playing a Lois Lane who is a mom and stuff, because typically how Hollywood is with actresses when they hit that age. They get cast as mothers, grandmothers, aunts, and stepmoms and stuff in that age in film and television and shit. So, and like, what's wrong? We can't have, and when you have that, I mean, what's wrong with that? Having a Lois Lane who is the wife of Superman and has 2 kids with him, Jonathan and Jordan Kent, and when you think about it, because I mean, or maybe just have Amy Adams just show up as a multiverse version of the Pink Lightspeed Ranger, and like say she's from a different universe and she had been a Power Ranger for a while, and the Lightspeed Aqua Base didn't win anywhere. The Queen Banshira didn't summon all her forces right away to attack the Aqua Base at the end of their respective season in cinematic form or anything. She was still active and still doing what she does as a paramedic and stuff. I mean, come to think of it, I mean, there's other things you can do with Dana and the other Rangers in a multiverse, adult-oriented Power Rangers movie of all the seasons. Even Lightspeed Rescue. Because Lightspeed Rescue was mature at times, with the things it did, the family drama between the Mitchell family with Captain Mitchell, Ryan, and Dana at times in Lightspeed Rescue, and we've seen that in Lightspeed Rescue. But if you made it way more adult in a Lightspeed Rescue movie, I can see that. But of course, these guys are over the 50s now, so I guess I have to skew to much younger actresses that are not, and actors that are not 50 and over coming up. Because a decade ago, I wish I could have considered Amy as the Pink Lightspeed Ranger before she turned 40. in 2014, but I was not about Lightspeed Rescue. Remember me, I'm still about Lost Galaxy, and I was still doing fan films about Lost Galaxy, and I didn't think about other series because you know how a lot of Power Ranger fans kept doing a bunch of fan casts and a bunch of fan films about MMPR and how Hollywood would do an MMPR movie reboot and stuff. But we've had that now. But we're still going to get another reboot of MMPR in film form from Hasbro later up, coming up and stuff. But still, I just think that just thinking about it, how I've always wanted to imagine, going back to my fantasy, imagining bigger Hollywood actors by big name to be characters from the Power Rangers universe we know. Yeah, they're older now, but I know there could have been that time when they were still in their prime before Hollywood says you're too old. But there's the technology to de-age them though. You don't have to keep showing. You don't need to show them when they're wrinkly and old and stuff. I mean, just de-age them to make them. Well, I know it's going to be a little tricky though, but they're going to be like, no, let's just cast fresh-faced actors that are just now starting out on something on Netflix or HBO Max shows and stuff, and have them as Rangers. And of course, Hasbro is going to think about that, because Hasbro is going to mostly think about, with their upcoming Power Rangers reboot universe of shared shows and movies like the MCU and DCEU and the Arrowverse and stuff. They're going to want to go for more actors that are on HBO shows like Euphoria or Netflix shows like Cobra Kai or whatever to be Power Rangers, or actors that young actors that are on CW shows right now to be Rangers. Because the actors that I know, yeah, they're older now. They're like better off cast as a Power Rangers big brother or sister or aunt, uncle, or father and mother or something, because you know how that is. And life is short. We're not going to be in our youth forever. So, but just to cut it short, I just thought of, I just want to bring this up for people who was unaware of this for a little bit. Lightspeed Rescue and Lightspeed Rescue and non-Power Rangers related topics with celebrities that could have been Power Rangers. Oh, by the by, what's so funny about this also, speaking of the pink Lightspeed Rescue Ranger, what's so funny, if you Google search up anything from Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, you can easily find a photo of Jamie Lee Curtis of Halloween fame. Jamie Lee Curtis in a pink Lightspeed Rescue Power Ranger costume. Somewhere floating on the internet somewhere. Seeing a Hollywood celebrity who is way too old for Power Rangers, who at the time was like in her 50s or something, wearing a pink Power Ranger costume. Ha ha, Jamie Lee Curtis, you cracked me up in a Power Ranger costume. But back when Lightspeed Rescue was running, yeah, she was in that pink Power Ranger costume. I wonder what persuaded her to wear that. Oh, man. So, yeah, in final thoughts, Amy Adams, if we had a Power Rangers cinematic multiverse, like in a Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness sort of thing for Power Rangers. Imagine a Power Rangers Multiverse of Madness movie. If we had anyone from Lightspeed Rescue pull up, it would have been great if you had Amy Adams be this different multiverse version of Dana Mitchell. Well, we'll always have our main universe Dana Mitchell, played by our lovely and beloved, talented Allison McInnis, still intact. But still, think about it. Think of it as like if we had a Multiverse of Madness sort of Power Rangers movie. If we had select Hollywood actors playing certain Rangers from various seasons, including actors that were supposed to be Rangers in the beginning, but then they turned the roles down because, well, Aaron Sims was going to be Lost in Galaxy Yellow, but imagine if she came in a Multiverse of Madness sort of Power Rangers film, and she was supposed to be Lost in Galaxy Yellow as intended, but until we got Serena, as we know in the main universe. But if Amy Adams was to do a multiverse, a Dana Mitchell pink Lightspeed Ranger from a different part of the Power Rangers multiverse, but with de-aged effects on her face and stuff during the filming and post-production process, I can see that. So, anyway, what do you guys feel about this? I mean, did it surprise you that she was going to be the pink Lightspeed Ranger, but didn't, unfortunately... Well, good thing we have Allison McInnis as Dana Mitchell, Lightspeed Rescue Pink Ranger, but just imagine if Amy Adams played the part in another universe.